Attorney General Mike Hilgers is questioning whether credit rating agencies are acting unlawfully with their ESG policies. ESG, or environmental, social, and governance, refers to corporate policies on sustainability and social impact. In a letter to the top credit agencies, Hilgers and 22 other state attorneys general outlined concerns with the consideration of ESG policies and ratings. He says the practice has led agencies to improperly downgrade fossil fuel companies while threatening to undermine the bond ratings of individual states. Hilgers says, quote, "Credit worthiness should be based on market forces and sound accounting, not the political projects and unfeasible ideas of a few powerful people that are not accountable to voters."